If I screw up or something, I can do it again.
Yeah,
right?
and I'll put it in the intro. It'll be great.
14 takes later.
Which one are we looking at whenever?
So I look at this one. There's a lot of cameras.
I know.
You don't ever look at the cameras after that.
Okay, all
The
right. I do
camera-
the
camera should
intro
make an
and then we talk. Hey everybody, Colin here with HalesSpeedShop. I'm here today with the mad scientist of hot rod and building, Nathan Hill. And we're here with Larry Warnack, whose dad is the original owner of the Evrol pickup, which some of you know. If you don't know it, you're going to get to know it today. Larry's going to tell us some stories about the truck, and Nathan is going to get into the build process of the truck and let us know some of his favorite stories. So Larry, tell us about the
Want
truck.
to know about the truck?
First of all, that was nice. One and done.
Very good.
Nice.
Very good.
That was
I
excellent.
did. You did great.
So how did your dad acquire the truck? I know there's a story behind that.
Yeah. Before,
And I don't know that story even.
even in the 50s, we lived in Farmers Branch. It was a country town at that time. We had property there, and we're raising horses. Dad was always a cowboy, so he sold tire recapping equipment down in the valley. He come home one weekend and said, "We can buy wild Mustangs out of Mexico for $5 a piece at the slaughterhouse. You know, they're going to slaughter them, the young ones." So he had a 48 Chevrolet. It's called a Club Coupe. He took the back seat out, and Mother took about 20 quilts and made us a pallet in the back. It had a 216 Babbitt rod motor in it, and it had a trailer hitch that it clamped on the rear bumper of that car. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know what they call them, but it just clamped on there with, 2-inch ball. And it had an old trailer we had that all
Rolling on faith, baby.
yeah, two horses, two grown horses in there. So we would leave like on early Friday morning, 4 or 5 in the morning, go through Dallas 35 South, and go to Laredo. And get there late that evening. It was like a 20-hour drive, back then in that old car. And get down there. That's where I found my love of Mexican food, because that's what I was eating at an early age. I was born in '53, so 6 years old or something.
Wow.
We'd spend the night in the back of that old 48 Chevrolet, get it the next morning. You could just drive over into Mexico and go to the slaughterhouses and give them $5 a piece. And sometimes we could get 2 in the trailer, sometimes 4, depending on what size they were. Get them back across the border, water them and feed them, and head back to Farmers Branch. Another 20-hour trip. Stop in Austin, and water them. And you had to leave them in the trailer because they were wild.
They ain't broke.
Oh no, they bite the shit out of you.
Yeah,
They'd get after you. So we get them back up here, and we had a little old pasture in Farmers Branch. There's about 20 acres in a pecan orchard, and a big corral in it, a real tall corral dip Daddy built for a stud horse we had. And we'd unload them in there 3 in the morning or whatever, give them water and food, and go home and sleep till late that afternoon. Well, a couple of trips in, that old Chevy was wearing out, and we had moved to Argyle by then. And Dad was driving that old Chevy back and forth to Dallas, about, I think, 48 miles one way or something like that. And so where he worked downtown Dallas, which is now where it was where all the pawn shops were at one time, where all those clubs and stuff are. Mm-hmm. I don't forget what they call that down in there. He had a business where Recappers Equipment is a tire sale place, and around the corner was a Chevrolet dealership, or maybe GMC, I can't remember. And that pickup was for sale. It was new. It's a '58 model, and a drunk drove through the fence and hit that '58.
On the driver's side.
On the driver's side.
Yeah.
And when I sold it, it still had a hole cut in the bottom of the inside of the door panel.
It's there.
And because it's metal.
Is that why that hole's there?
I guess so. I didn't know it was there.
That's
how they knocked it back out.
Yeah, and that's why we
That
got to
hole's
the
still
inside.
in that door.
Oh.
Yeah.
And so Dad bought it for, it was almost a year old when it was on the lot. So they sold it really cheap, and he bought it. They straightened the frame out with some jacks. I remember him telling jacks, and chains. Put the jack on it, bump it up,
Some
you
good
know.
old
I mean,
Southern
all Southern ingenuity. So he drove a little truck back and forth for a couple of years, and we hauled hay with it. I mean, it was our farm truck. And it got tired after going to Mexico lots of times. And so, because what happened, we were pulling the trailer with it, going instead of the old 48 Chevrolet. So we had lots of miles on that old 216. So he went on Harry Hines, my coach at the time in Argyle Junior High, a guy named Carroll Hastings. And Carroll and his brother-in-law owned Highway Auto Wrecking. Used to be one here in Louisville until recently.
Yeah, just recently.
A guy named Hamby. Well, he went to school with him, so he bought a 283 out of maybe early 60 station wagon, Chevrolet station wagon, because they thought that 283 in the Chevrolet station wagon would be a little tougher motor. It's a two-barrel, car. We got it home. It sat in our backyard on the ground, for about a week or so. Dad pulled it up under a big old oak tree, and that tree is still there. Got a chain hoist. Tell you, the rest of the story. Unbolted and took it out of there, that 6-cylinder, dropped that 283 in there. Of course, it bolted right up to the transmission, no problem. I think we had to change the throwout bearing. And on that 283, when we put it in there, the 6-cylinder had motor mounts on the side to the frame. Mm-hmm. And it was long. But if you turned them around, bolted right on the front of that 283. Mm-hmm. On the early model 283, it had 2 holes.
On the very front of the motor, right next to the crank pulley.
And that's where it was.
When I got it, that's how it was.
That's exactly
yes.
right. So we put that in there.
Because I was thinking at the time, like, God, look at these motor mounts,
I know,
man.
right?
How's this hold up?
Right.
Like when I got it, I thought that.
And believe me, they held up good
Yeah,
because
they
I
did.
put that old truck through the torture.
For sure.
So Dad drove it, was going to drive it to work. But in that truck, in 58, how you started it was turn. Remember it had a key starter? Mm-hmm. But it didn't start it. You had to push a button on the floor early.
Yep.
And so that wouldn't work, of course. And the pedal, the gas pedal, wouldn't hook up to the 6. It was on for the 6-cylinder, which everything was wrong on that. But he didn't have it to get on top of the little 283. So he took a piece of baling wire and run it through the dash and put a loop on it so he could pull it. We drove it around. He drove it to work for 2 weeks until he got the right language.
With the hand throttle.
Yes, sir. Drove to Dallas. At that time, they had moved off of Mockingbird. And so, we started using it on the farm. And then by 64, Dad bought their first, my dad was a car guy. I mean, always his life. He bought their first 442 in Denton County in 64.
All right.
The true 442. 4-speed, 300, 4-barrel, all that stuff. And
if you could have that car today.
Oh, yeah, I know. I got pictures of it. I got memories. So we took and put that old farm truck kind of to the side, and I was 14 or 15 and got a hardship license because we lived out in the country. Mm-hmm. And it's funny, I drove that truck to Denton, parked it on the side, and went in to get my hardship license, And you had to physically take a test. I took my test. And the guy said, "Where's your vehicle?" And I said, "It's parked on the side." I said, "Did you drive that up here?" I said, "Oh, no, my mom drove it up here. I drove it up there." I was 14, And so got in there and drove around, passed my test. Said, "Well, you're good to go." I came home. First person I seen was our fire chief, and I was on the fire department at that time at 14. He said, "What are you doing driving?" I said, "I got my license now." He said, "Well, good, you can drive our truck." We had a 53 tanker truck that we put out fires with. So the next morning, the first thing that happened to that old truck, I was headed to school. It still had the bench seat in it at that time. I was headed to school down this old back road, and they had a rubber tire maintainer grading the roads back out. And I went over the edge of it and kind of gassed, and it got sideways and hooked that front wire and spun me all the way in the ditch on the other side. I thought, man, that could have been dangerous, So
But it was pretty fun.
But it was fun. 2 days later, Dad had we didn't have an exhaust system, so he put flex pipe to 2 cherry bomb mufflers right up under the seat, It wasn't no like it is now, Well, they had kind of rotted out over the years, and I got a ticket for loud mufflers and all that. But anyway, we used that truck to haul cattle in. to haul cattle in the trailer. But we also made side panels, like a side of a trailer, that fit in the notches on the bed, that short bed. 4 sides that you could open up, and we could load 1 horse or 2 small horses in the back of that 58, or 2
all in the
cows
back
or
of the pickup.
calves,
So
and all the back of the pickup.
the bed of the pickup.
The bed of the
bed of the
That's-
truck.
that's what it was originally
had
used
a
for.
horse or 2 in it.
Or 2. We go to the
Multiple
horse,
times.
Yeah, we'd go to the horse sale, and of course they had ramps, to get them up in. Yeah, no problem.
Oh,
So when the Mustangs came back, who broke the Mustangs?
Me and my
Yeah,
dad.
okay, that's when, who broke them? Y'all did?
Yeah, I went to have a MRI done on my neck about 6 months ago because I got this little tremor, and she said, "You realize you got bone spurs all up and down your neck and shoulders?" And I said, "Yeah, I used to break horses every time you get kicked and throw off." So, yeah, so we broke those horses and would sell them, and then of course I was driving it to school on a daily basis. And what got me interested in this, I seen your podcast with what's the bull rider's name?
Sammy.
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 So I seen it back, and I thought, well, that's not the first time this thing has been, because I used to bull ride,
Oh, wow.
and I would take
Yeah.
that to the rodeos and pull a horse trailer if I had a barrel racer or whoever.
Oh, that's funny. You noticed that. It was in the background of that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's when I noticed it. I thought, well, this is pretty cool. It's coming around again, talking about my old truck
Yeah.
and the bull rider.
That's
So
wild.
Yeah.
we'd take it to rodeos, and we took it deer hunting, Mexico lots of times.
Yeah. And you were talking about the statutes of limitation.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think
And
I
there's
checked this.
there's another story.
I think we took that. I think I'm okay on that.
I think you're okay.
There was a story that some wild kid took a 58 Chevrolet pickup, a blue and white one, kind of that big
Yeah.
one,
Yeah,
Apache.
Close to
similar.
that. Close to that. truck.
Right,
Very
cl-
similar.
close to-
Very similar.
It's
And
minor differences
The
here and
Denton
there.
County Golf Course had a road in front of it. Back then, there was no, like out here at Lake Park, they had the fences and stuff. You can't get on there. Not then.
Yeah. Just get
And
it.
these 2 wild heathen boys,
No.
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 Boy, yeah.
A buddy of mine told me about this.
Cut.
Right. They got on the green, which was green number 1. It was a beautiful, where they teed off run first thing in the mornings, and pulled up there, and there wasn't no flag or anything, and did a burnout across that green. And of course, it just peeled up the turf, and you could see 2 white marks. We went down to the next, did the same. I mean, they went down to the next, and got on
That's
the road,
awesome.
went on.
Hey, that's bucket list, man.
So, and by the time I was in the
I've had similar scenarios in my life.
Yes,
golf
I
courses.
understand. So I drove it to high school until 69, 70 or something like that. And I bought a 62 Corvette. We were talking about that show, Route 66, so I watched it.
Yeah, yeah.
And I love that 62. And we looked at 5 or 6 that week. They were all about $1,000. That's what they were going for at that time. They were just old hot rods. Nobody wanted them, I bought it, and so Dad put that in the fields to work. And got a funny story. We were plowing one night. We had, my dad never had a new tractor. My dad never had a new pickup. He didn't have any stocks that were paper either. They were all on 4 hooves walking around, that kind of stock. And so we were putting these fields of, where were we planting? Maize. So we had a big, y'all know what a drill is? It's pulled behind. It's a big planter. They're called drills. And it's got about 20 heads that go in the ground. My dad had like a 35-year model, and it was a horse-drawn or mule-drawn. And it had a seat on the back with brakes that you could make it turn even better. Well, he'd hook it up to his tractor, and it had a big hopper, and my job was with a stick, make sure all the seeds were going down, didn't, leave any spot. We was through one night, it's supposed to rain the next morning. We had about 10 acres to sow, and that old Farmall, which was a 30-something 2-cylinder, kicked a rod out the side of the crank. I mean, right out the side of the case. So Dad said, "What are you going to do?" And I think Mom said, "Well, you just pull it to the pickup." So we were already in the pickup. They hooked that old pickup up to that grain drill. I sat there, and he finished the 10 acres, and it rained the next day. But we wouldn't have got it in if it wasn't that old pickup.
Yeah.
That pickup had mud tires on when I got
Yeah,
it.
exactly
It
right.
did.
Yeah,
It had
yeah,
mud
I
tires
remember
on
that.
it.
I remember
Yep.
that.
My little brother learned to drive on that out in the pasture. That's why it didn't have a clutch in it.
Yep.
That was his ride. And in the early 60s, the late 60s, I had a 55 Chevrolet drag car. We'd hook a tow bar to it, just like an A-frame tow bar. Lock the steering wheel out the door with a rope, and white shoe polish right on the back window in tow. Have a battery hooked up to the light so we're coming back at night. get to the drag strip, and then the back of the pickup, we had some big old slicks. They call pie crust now. They're recap slicks.
Yeah.
And get with the jack, get those out.
Those don't work for shit. We
Yeah,
know that.
yeah.
Those don't work for
That's
shit.
all we had back then. And we put those things on and take the street tires off, run that old 55 all evening long, tie it back up there and put it back on and go get to Argyle. And I always thought that was the coolest deal. And then every once in a while, I'd run that old 58 at the drag strip. It was pretty fast. It was a 3-speed 2-barrel. He would run about 90 in a quarter mile. And by the time you shifted in the third, you were 400 or 500 yards away from the end of the quarter mile on it.
Just ringing it out.
It rained it out.
You at one point in time, you blew the motor in that truck at the drag strip.
No, that was at the street races.
At the street race.
Yeah.
That was a mess.
So when did you park that truck here? Because we're at the house where that truck got parked and sat for a while.
My dad passed away. I inherited the ranch, and my sister and I did. And we had to clear everything out. And so we brought the old truck home, and I was involved in my landscaping company, and, like a lot of guys, was going to get to it. And just never got to it. So
How long had it been sitting prior to that? For a
I'd been
while?
sitting at a chicken barn, a barn find,
Yeah.
as they say, 10 or 12, 15 years
So it had been sitting for
inside.
10
30
to 15 years.
30 plus, yeah.
And then you brought it here.
Yeah.
And then it sat for about 5 years.
Maybe 4 or 5 years. And I told Randy one day, I said, hey, I'm thinking about selling this old truck. I even told my cousin, he said, oh, damn, don't do that, man. Look at all the memories you got. And I said, I always have those memories.
Oh,
Yeah, that's like
Those never go away.
Yeah.
So
it's one thing you get to keep.
all of a sudden,
The only thing you get to take with you.
that's right.
Yep.
Nathan didn't come over and take it, and there it's gone. I still got the memories.
Yeah. And that was your very first LS swap, wasn't it?
Yeah. No reason. I didn't even know what the truck was back then. I've never been if I like it, it's cool. I don't care who made it, where it come from. If I see it, that's cool, it's good. So I didn't even know what that truck was. I was still doing more late model stuff at that time. And I was like, well, I've never seen one done, so that's perfect.
Yeah, didn't you have some like Continentals and
Stuff like that, yeah.
and a pickup that was like Chevrolet turned into an Escalade or something like that.
Yeah,
front
more
end
new,
on?
late
Right.
model stuff,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
I remember
when
that.
I got that truck, the only reason I wanted to build it is because there was none of them around yet.
Yeah.
Like when I built that truck, a 58 Apache did not exist in the mainstream hot
And
rod
especially with big window.
world. No, exactly.
I mean, there's a few small windows.
Yeah.
And the first modification I made to that, well, we put some Dunlop tires on it. My dad was a Dunlop tire dealer, so we put some white letter Dunlop tires on it, And I drove to the parts place in Denton one day and picked up a chrome oil breather, because on the 283 it comes right out the front.
Yep.
And took off the oil breather off the carburetor. That's still the 2-barrel, and put a chrome one on it. You get to school, hey, look what I did. Everybody be standing around looking. It wasn't like, I didn't have the computer out tuning them like they do now.
Yeah.
No, that's cool.
And then along the way, I guess I was driving it because I'd been driving it for about 6 months. Dad said, your uncle's coming here on Saturday morning. I said, what's that? And he said, I've got some, he brought it home somehow. He had some GTO bucket seats, some blue ones. He said, we're going to put those in that seat, in that truck. And I said, really? That'll be cool. It had a floor shift because the old column shift had worn out. It had a Hirsch mystery shifter in it, 3-speed. So they took the bench seat out, and it was worn out, And I remember them putting that in, and Dad and my uncle joking said, yeah, we're putting these bucket seats. These are birth control seats. I always thought that was so funny.
Divider.
There was a 6.5-foot bed in the back if I wanted to go that route, and believe me, that bucket seat didn't stop anything.
No.
So yeah, we were in. I've been on a date one night and was coming home from dinner. It had been raining. And I didn't want to get down a muddy road, afraid to get stuck. And I pulled off on the side of the road. Some buddies lived up there, and it was like 1 in the morning. They had a driveway that come out that was concrete, and we pulled over there, and me and this girl, and things got kind of heavy. Next thing I know, of course you can't. It was in winter time. Motor was off. It fogged up all the windows in the truck, and all I hear is on the window. and it's like bright lights coming in, like somebody's blasting you. I can't see anything. So I reach over and do this to the window, and as I swept around, I says, takes this to, oh, damn, the cops, the highway patrol.
Hey, that ring any bells over there?
And
That ring any bells over there?
he said,
In the same truck?
No, not in the same truck. Very similar scenario.
and luckily I had it
In
locked.
the same truck.
He said,
Generational.
he said, get out of that truck. I said, well, I got to get out to the other side. I got to put some underwear on.
Not that it didn't happen in that truck, I don't know, but
So,
Jenna, you tell us.
yeah, there you go. So he let me get my underwear on and let her get dressed and I said, man, we're getting married, and we lied, whatever it took. And he said, what happened if y'all got hit by a car and you were both killed?
be the best way to go out.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah.
So,
Straight to heaven.
yeah, those are the fun times, and I still have memories even though I don't have the truck.
No, it's cool. That's what
yeah.
That's why we, even for Jen and our boys, we don't buy Christmas and this and that. We just create memories. We don't do the presents because
That's the best way. The presents are gone.
and they're done, and they're just the memories is the only thing you have to reflect on. So that's
Right.
cool.
But that truck started whenever you got the truck. You built it, full chassis and everything, but it had a small block in it the first time.
I rebuilt a 283 that Larry had put in it.
That 283.
Yeah.
you
So a
rebuilt.
local machine shop,
Anderson's.
yes,
Anderson's.
built
Yeah,
that,
Anderson's.
and I did that with a 700 R4.
Yep.
And I made one trip in it, and the motor didn't make enough power to pull overdrive. It
Really?
wouldn't. No, it wouldn't pull the
I'll be damned.
overdriven gear. So I came back, and me and TJ are gonna hot rod this thing. Okay, we're gonna make this thing fast, and that's the motor that blew up the street races. So me and TJ did this motor up with a couple people, and I blew that thing up before I paid the bill.
I'll be damned.
Yep. Back then we used to purge the nitrous
Yeah,
through the motor, so you couldn't see. Like you
Right,
on the
right.
way to the line, you just purge it through the motor.
Right.
And I mistimed something because that bitch blew up right then and there. Just pop. Then the cops showed up, and I'm stuck in the middle of this deal, and thousands of people are just scattering.
Did it
No,
chuck
I
a rod out
remember
of it?
that. I remember
It
that.
broke a piston.
Yeah.
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 Was it in Dallas, like on Manana, or
Yeah.
one of those?
Yeah. Down in there.
But you rebuilt that motor
Maybe. Yeah.
because, that's the
That
motor.
was a small block 400.
Well, that's the motor and transmission that I bought from you to put in that 34.
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
Yep. It is. Now you say that.
Yeah.
That
Because
is
that
that
motor
motor.
was in that truck.
Yep.
And you had just done an LS swap, and then I
They
got
had
the
aluminum
motor.
heads on, and that
Yeah.
like back then that to put aluminum heads on something
Oh,
that was
man,
a big
it was a
deal.
big
Oh
deal.
yeah.
And
Oh,
it didn't
yeah.
do shit really.
Yeah.
But I mean, but you just thought it did, and
It looked cool.
yeah.
When my 55 Chevrolet, that drag car I had $150 in that car, high school car, no title or anything. We just run it at the drag strip. And we had a 283 in it, and I got the heads. One of my dad's buddies was Mike Burkhart, who owned auxiliary gas tanks. He had a funny car and all this stuff. He said instead of dual plug aluminum heads for a small block Chevrolet. And we put it on there, and we ran a stock 2-barrel intake with an adapter and a 500 CFM Holly, that big old Holly, about 2-barrel. And that old car set a record in Green Valley at 101 miles an hour with a 3-speed in it. And it would run for a 283.
That's awesome.
Yeah, isn't that
Eighth
cool?
mile.
And it had maybe $300 in it or
That's
something.
cool.
Yeah.
Well, whenever you did the LS swap in the Evrol truck, I remember you having a lot of. You took it down to dyno tune. You were trying to get more power.
No,
out
I
of it
mean
and everything.
during that whole process, the term "never say never," I really understood that at that point. Because after I got through that first one, I said, "Never fucking again will I do this." And then it, ironed it out, and obviously it was okay.
Yeah.
But that was brutal. That first one, there was nothing there. We were going to junkyards trying to make stuff work.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
like trying to make all this wiring and
yeah.
the fuel. I knew nothing about it.
Right.
I went with you a couple of times down to the dyno shop.
Yeah.
You put a different cam in a different, and,
Yeah.
and you went to the dyno
Yeah.
shop. And
Then I learned at that day that dyno's bullshit.
Yes.
Stay off that thing.
Stay off the dyno.
Yep, that's
It'll
just
let you down.
That's
every
just
time.
a letdown.
we pulled a drag car that we raced on Forest. It was my buddy's Firebird, 68, but a Chevrolet motor in it. It wasn't doing good one night, and we brought it back to my house, out on the street, and pull the cam out on the street and put it back in, was there back out there 3 hours.
Yes,
Oh my
yes.
God, they don't do that stuff anymore.
No. I mean, we've motor swapped hours before going to the track back then. I mean, before kids and all that. And
You remember
the torque converter.
That torque converter.
Yes, I knew what you were getting at. Just to,
I had already known that I was gonna beat him.
But
I
man.
just wanted to put it to him.
Yeah.
We put a torque converter. What was that?
high stall. I mean,
30 minutes before.
Yeah.
We were gonna meet at the shop that night at what?
it was just some old bench racing shit,
Right,
you know.
right.
A couple.
Oh,
I mean, we were in
yeah.
our early 20s, like him and a buddy were arguing. Yeah, and I
8
was like,
o'clock, we're gonna meet at the shop. I show up 30 minutes before. Nathan was sitting there going, "Hey man, hey, look, hey, you, I know you're gonna beat him. You want to put it to him? I got this converter right here."
you'll skip all the BS and get right to the power, man.
That's it. Yeah, because that's where it starts building power.
Yeah.
The RPM.
I mean, he used 2 tanks of gas getting a dent that night. But you definitely put it to him.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
I remember him sitting there by the door whenever I went to pull out. We had just, because remember he pulled up and we had just put it on the ground. We were like, play it off. He
Yeah,
doesn't even
I remember
know
it like
we're
it was
working on
yesterday.
And he was standing there by the door, and I didn't know what I was getting into. Big stall. I put it in reverse, and it was, what? And I'm looking at Nathan through the windshield.
like the
and I'm like,
transmission's bad or
I'm
something?
like,
Yeah.
that shit ain't moving, man.
Right.
He's like, give it more gas.
Yeah, so you're going to rev it up, man.
We used to buy 10-inch Vega converters
That's it.
for
It's
the
something like this
4-cylinder
little bitty
and put it
sucker,
on
yeah.
our high. Man, it wouldn't even touch until 3,000 or 4,000
Yep.
RPM.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what that one was. It was funny.
But that Evrol truck at a certain point in time, who was that? That was in one of those. Remember those truck DVDs that used to come out and everything, and that was filmed and featured in one of those.
Yes,
I'll
it
be
was.
dang.
Who was the guy that did that back then? Was that Sam's brother that did that way back then?
I don't.
Or was it somebody else
It
filmed
could
back
have
then?
been. It might have been him.
It could
What
have
was
been.
that? Was that for that Surface DVD?
I
or
don't know.
something
That was
like
that was when it still had the 283 in it, and
Oh,
no, that was like
that was before the
that
LS
was cruising up
swap
and down Mill
everything.
Street, man.
Yeah.
Like literally, we just rolled up and down Mill Street, and we took the pictures at Miller Muffler.
Oh shit.
We
I didn't
cruised
know
back
that.
in between
Yeah.
Ferguson's and Miller, and they took the pictures back in there.
You and Jenna.
When,
Me and TJ were in it.
When,
You and T.
when
I
did
think
the,
I don't even think you were there. No, me and T
You went
there.
Oh.
Because they were filming us and they seen like my hair blowing, the windows were up and shit, and they go, "You got AC in that thing while we're cruising?" I'm like, hell yeah, I got AC in that.
So one of my favorite things on that truck, whenever it comes to aftermarket, is the tint.
Yeah, I love the 10 on it.
The tint
The
on
blue
that
tint.
truck, that
Isn't
blue
it blue?
tint.
Yeah.
That blue tint. Well, yeah, nobody had that at the
Right,
time.
right.
And what was it? It was, I don't remember what year it was, but we decided we were going to roll down to, what was it, Heatwave?
I had a
Roundup?
back window in it. Front
No.
kept the back window.
Oh, that's
he
right.
come to Louisville, took the back window out,
yeah,
took
yeah,
it
yeah,
to
yeah.
Waco, and me and you drove it with no back window, and he put it in. Then we went
Yes.
to Heatwave,
How are we doing?
Yeah,
or we went to the river
But-
first. But yeah,
Yeah, but we went to his shop.
Yes.
And he tinted the vent glass, side glass, put
Yeah,
the back
tinted the
window
rest of them and put the
yeah,
back
yeah,
window
yeah,
in.
Yeah.
and that was Mercedes tint.
Yeah.
Like it was stock Mercedes tint,
How are we doing?
and it
It looked cool.
worked like something
It-
else.
it really
it's
fit that
the,
truck.
I mean, it
the
does.
function of that shit is something else.
But at the time, that wasn't
Right.
that wasn't.
I just
done.
wanted blue tint because the truck was
Yeah.
blue.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
People
Well-
were using yellow tint and stuff like
So
that.
Evrol, where does it come from?
Oh,
from the
that's a funny story.
tailgate.
And why is it on the tailgate?
Okay.
Because
Have
that's
any idea?
no,
yeah, well,
no.
Okay,
Don't,
all
the
right,
whole
all right.
story.
All right. Yeah.
this is-
learn us here. Learn
So
us.
we had a couple guys working next to the hot rod shop.
Right.
And this is right when I got it from you, and it was sitting out in the field. It hadn't
Right.
been started. No, it was sitting out in the field.
Oh.
This, you know where this come from.
Yeah.
It was just out in the field sitting, and the dent guy comes up to me and asks, "Who in the heck makes an Evrol?
Yeah.
Where'd that
Right.
come from?"
He was talking about how cool the truck.
Yeah, it was so cool
That's
because
so cool.
instead of paint, he just looked at the letters that weren't worn out yet
And my dad did that
on purpose.
on purpose, wrote Evrol on it.
That is
Yeah.
hilarious.
Wait,
I did
your
not
dad-
know
your
that.
dad
Is
did that on
hilarious.
Yeah, he took in just a paintbrush and painted those in because he
Oh,
called
my
it, he called
goodness.
it Evrol.
Your dad called it Evrol?
Oh yeah, that was original.
Holy shit.
My mind is like I'm trying to bring my brain back into my skull right
Holy
now.
shit.
Yeah, he painted that on there.
So
I
anyway-
didn't know if you knew that story.
No,
Oh.
not at all. That is weird.
So the name Evrol actually doesn't come from that. It comes
From my
from
dad.
your dad.
the universe just recreated the name through that little dent guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. He thought that Evrol.
Was who made it because of
Right.
He asked who makes
Because he
who
took
makes
off
Evrol.
the CH and the
CH and the other
yes,
D. Right,
yes,
exactly right.
and the ET. Yeah,
That's what he asked us that night. Who makes
and
Evrol?
we
makes
dropped
Evrol.
on the ground laughing, and
Well,
we
at first we thought he was joking.
Well, yeah, 'cause we didn't know what the hell he was
sat
talking
there,
about.
We
Right.
sat there thinking, you're being funny, ha
Right.
ha ha. And then whenever we realized he was being serious,
But this guy wasn't. He didn't know. I mean, it,
yeah,
Right,
yeah,
right.
yeah.
it wasn't.
We
It
were
wasn't out of the
all-
norm.
yeah.
It was just.
Right,
It was just a
right.
funny story,
It
and it
was
stuck.
So your dad actually
Painted that. Yeah.
That
on the
is-
truck, and then
Right.
he named the truck.
Yeah.
Evrol.
Evrol.
That's
Yeah,
amazing.
Evrol.
Holy shit!
Why he did, it wasn't even on the road when he did that. I guess he was just bored one day and decided he would do it.
That is-
Evrol.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
But that story just linked back
Painted
up.
Argyle, Texas, out on the ranch.
Amazing.
And we used to haul hay in that truck. Literally, it's a short wheelbase. You get about 35 on the back, double stacking and on top. Put 4 or 5 or 6 on the top. I'm surprised we didn't cave the top in.
Just disperse the weight enough where it didn't
Just
cave.
enough.
Yeah.
And then put 5 or 6 on the hood because we were doing it in the pasture. And ease back to the barn and put that hay off on there.
That's
I
awesome.
mean, we didn't have a big truck. And I see these guys buying these F-350s and 250s, and they're hauling their 2-horse trailers and they 4-wheel drive with all this stuff.
They're probably not from the South, though.
They may not be.
They may not be.
And
from
I'm
the South.
thinking, damn, we used to use a 58 Chevrolet pickup with a 6-cylinder to do all this.
But me and Dad still do that same stuff.
Right.
Like we don't buy new stuff.
Right.
We keep it going until it's not possible
Till
anymore.
it won't go
It won't
anymore.
go
Yeah.
anymore. It's not about being fancy. It's pure function. Like it's just if it works, then keep
That truck had a camper on it at one time.
Really, that's cool. I didn't know that.
Over the cab. My uncle built it. He built it for a 62 short wheelbase GMC.
Okay.
And so it was really nice. Had a bed up above the cab, and over the fender wells where the fenders come up, it had like these 2 benches. You could lay them out and sleep in there.
Yeah, I know
And
exactly.
We'd take it deer hunting, and it was like the top deal,
That was a popular thing to
Yeah.
deer hunting, bird hunting in those
Yeah.
cab over
because
truck
we had
campers.
been doing it in a tent,
Yep.
a pop-up tent on the ground.
Yep. Me and Dad took truck campers to bird hunting
Yeah.
in the early days. I remember.
We rabbit hunted out of that truck. Oh my God. Road hunted, which I think they put you in jail for now, but spotlighting and stuff, shooting rabbits out of it.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, it's been up down the highway.
Rabbits
Lots
don't
of-
have no problem populating. So.
No, that's true. And we were eating them.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
Oh yeah, we were
Little
eating
rabbit
them.
stew, little East Texas
So.
rabbit
And matter of fact, we're
So you got to have a favorite story in the Evrol.
Not a favorite story.
A good story.
A lesson learned.
A lesson learned.
So they used to do this deal in Vernon called the Summer's Last Blast every year.
Do they not do that anymore?
I don't know. I haven't been there anymore, but
Yeah.
it was just crowded. This whole town was packed. full
about
of
5
hot
miles
rods.
downtown,
my-
shut
yeah,
off, and all the
just-
cars running in.
Yeah, just wild. And there
I've
was
been there.
Vernon?
Oh yeah, I've been
Okay.
in that.
so
Right.
I was in the truck. That was in the 283. Just finished it. Me and TJ were down there in Vernon, and there was a slot. I wanted to go straight, and everybody's in the turn lane backing up, and there was a slot in there that I was like, "This is why this truck." And this lady, she didn't want to let me in because she thought I wanted in the turn lane, and there was a long line.
Yeah.
So she didn't want me to cut the line.
Yeah, yeah.
Typical
Yeah.
human behavior.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
But I said, "Well, fuck that. I'm not even getting. I'm going to shoot this gap."
Shoot the gap.
Well, it was 1 inch too narrow.
Yeah.
So if you look down one side of that truck, that bed arrow has got a constant cave in from her bumper all the way down.
Man.
Just it's like a 1 inch divot all the way down. Because I was so aggravated, I was like, I'm going through. I'm not going to cut.
Right,
I'm
right,
not
right.
going to cut the line, lady.
Right, right.
And so the lesson learned,
Was patience.
Yeah.
patience.
Yeah,
There
is a
you
virtue.
go. Patience is a virtue.
Well, we went up there.
That's the lesson. Like just that. I ruined my whole trip off being an idiot.
wanted to go.
Just
Shouldn't have been.
You were
slow
pissed
down.
the rest of the trip.
Just the common sense of the ladies what pissed me off. And once I go red, there's no going back the other
No,
way.
that's right.
When I'm red, it's it.
Yeah.
I'll fuck anything up. I'm going straight through this.
Yeah,
How
there
it
you go.
is, how it
That's
is. Because
So-
you pissed me off.
We went up there because at that time, late 90s, can't remember when it was, well, 25 years ago, I was putting on the car shows in Old Town Louisville.
Yeah.
So I did promotions.
Yep.
There's
It's
a
still on the
stick-
window, yeah.
There's
Yeah,
a sticker on each one. Isn't there?
exactly
on
right.
each one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
He was a
What
promoter of
was
that
it?
show.
Promoted.
What was it? The
Old Town Hot Rod Reunion.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah.
And so we would go to these car shows and drag strips and hand out flyers, flyers, whatever you call
Flyers.
it. Flyers.
Flyers.
There you go. Thank you.
Flyers.
So
Either way.
I mean, that's
we
hard
wanted
to say.
we wanted to go up to
Flyers.
Vernon for this. They shut down the streets.
Oh, it's fun.
Oh, it's fun.
That was a good time.
So we got up there and we were in a 2-year-old Ford F-150. It was jacked up,
Yeah.
and I had 3 girls with him, our trophy girls. They all had T-backs on and
Hell
back and
yeah,
stuff.
man.
Well, I asked the lady. I said, "Can we
Just
get
in
it?"
my blood. I
Yeah,
can't help
I
it.
said, "Can we not? Can we?"
Hey, somebody out there, that's your grandma. Today.
That's it.
That's your grandma.
Now it's their grandma. So
But just so you know, she was wearing tea bags
you
back
were
in the
tea
day.
bags back then.
that's right. So I asked the lady, and she said, "Well, first place, we don't. You can't get it. There's no room anymore. No more tickets left, and this vehicle's too new.
Yeah.
It'll be certain years." I said, "Okay, I got you." So we're driving back to a restaurant, and I see this old Jeep, like an old Willis Jeep. There ain't nobody in it, and they had a dash placket,
Yeah.
and somehow that placket jumped into that Ford. And we started going down through there, and all I hear the girls saying, "There's a helicopter up above." And I'm thinking, what kind of hell is the news people? And they're videoing these girls
No,
throwing
it's-
out these flyers. They're giving their autographs. So
That's
we had a
cool.
big time up
No,
there.
it's so fun. Yeah,
it
that's
was-
so fun.
And that was the biggest turnout.
It probably was
It
for
probably
our car
was.
show. That was the last year we did that show. We shut the street off down to high school, just about
Wow.
Damn.
to Maine.
So it was big back then. It wasn't like
400 and
oh my
something
goodness.
cars.
Today it's about 40.
So,
Yeah.
No, the
If-
last
wait,
one I
no.
went to wasn't even that.
hey, I'm trying to make it sound a little good.
Well,
So. You're at 400 something.
Yeah.
lesson learned here, though. If you want to promote a car show, you need,
Tea
what was
bags.
it, about 3 girls
And
Three
tea
girls.
bag.
and tea bags.
Yeah.
I've always said
and
that.
then, And then you'll have a car show.
Well, guess what? Those girls and 6 other girls gave out the trophies at the end of that show.
You think those grandmas are still available to promote
They
the
are.
flannels or something?
I know 2 of them, and so one of them. Well, I ain't gonna go there. But we had the trailer set up on Mill Street where Maine came across,
Uh-huh.
and so the car should go on down Main, east and west. That was it was 2 lane
Yep.
at that time. And we had this 16-foot trailer with these red and white checkered balloons all the way around it, and we had big, super huge trophies. Your dad sponsored trophies.
Oh, that's
Daryl,
cool. Yeah.
the T-shirts and all that. And so the girls in T-backs gave the trophies away. And
That's my dad sponsored them.
Oh my God! the Louisville leader, they
Now it
were
all-
people
it's
screaming
all
about
full circle.
these half-naked girls giving out these trophies in Old Town Louisville.
That's cool.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. You brought that to Louisville.
My favorite story is about the TV.
Okay,
the
that's
TV,
good.
the TV.
That's a good story. So, this was me and Jenna just got married. We just bought this house,
Well, you gotta give years.
2007.
2007.
Yep, that's when me and Jenna got married.
All right.
And we had just got this house, and the show Sons of Anarchy had come out.
Yep.
And so my cousin TJ, he's always let me know, like he knows like kind of what I'll like. This show you'll like, Nathan. Watch it. This will hold your interest. He knows what'll hold my interest, kind of, because not much does.
Right.
And I said, all right, man, let's watch this. I'm gonna go buy a TV first, though. So I went to Best Buy and bought the biggest TV they had. We didn't have kids or anything.
Right,
I worked
right,
like a
I
dog,
got you,
so
right,
I had plenty
right,
of extra
right.
money. And I was like, okay, let's go get a TV. And we put that TV in the back of that Apache. It had no bed floor. It had a little
Right.
spot that it was wedged in. And this was an expensive ass TV back then. I probably just spent thousands of dollars
Right,
on the 65.
exactly.
I mean, this was
Yeah.
this was in 2007. But I said, if we're gonna watch this, dude, let's go buy a big ass
Yeah.
TV. Screw it, let's go get a big TV. And I'm driving home, slow, trying to protect this TV. And my cousin Jenna's in the middle, TJ's in the passenger side, and TJ goes, "Oh, you're married now, so you're gonna go all slow to protect this TV. I put that motherfucker on the rug, and it already had LS motor, everything, and I just let it loose. I don't know if that had an LS motor or not, but it was pretty. It was run. It might have the 400 or whatever. I don't know what it was, but and the whole time I was just praying, please do not fall out. Please no. Nobody knew that part, but I was like, please do not fall out trying to be cool, you know?
Well, I've enjoyed it, and like I say, you never lose those memories.
No,
Well,
and this kind of stuff, like when you put those memories in a digital format like this,
right,
people will get to hear them for a
enjoy them
long
for
time.
years and
yeah,
years,
yeah.
yeah.
If you don't, like I said, if you don't let the computer use you and you use it correctly,
right.
It's a good thing. It's just you got to find the balance of the digital world.
I seen that video of you racing the Corvette up at North Star.
Yep.
I can't remember what year that were.
That was in about 2009, 10.
But you whipped that Corvette.
Killed it, man.
Oh, man, it was
back
great.
then. So right when I started doing that, when this LS thing hit and I figured it out, and I had some good help. I can't take sole credit. There was some people in my corner really helped me figure out. John Dodson helped me.
Yeah.
There was some guys that really helped me figure this out that already kind of knew this industry. And once we got to that point and this thing started running right, I was just racing that thing everywhere just because it was so unique. Like you could just you could put some nitrous on that LS motor and it was
rock and
fast.
roll,
It
right.
was ready to go.
At a certain point, we were all, remember you had done, the Evrol truck. I don't know how many other LS swaps you had done.
Once I did one and figured it out, there was no turning back. That's why I say never say never.
And then we started going up there, because remember back in the day up in Denton, they used to do that, the nostalgia drags or whatever it was,
We made them rewrite the rule book.
No, they outlawed us.
Yeah, but that's
They
what I'm
outlawed
saying.
us.
We made them rewrite the rule book.
Yeah. But we started going up there because you had to tech in.
Right.
Well, whenever you teched in, there was no
There was
fuel injection.
It was just a year. It was
Yeah.
a stout. You had a race this year.
Right,
Nothing about what
exactly.
motor you had in
Right,
it.
exactly.
So you had guys that were taking these, 60 model Corvettes.
We were
that
probably pushing the limit. Like it
Yeah,
really wasn't,
I don't
it wasn't
know. I
intended what we were
understand. I
doing.
understand.
But
But you had these guys taking these 60 model Corvettes in an enclosed trailer. It was a full drag
Oh,
car,
yeah.
right? And then we would, party the night before and wake up and we'd drive up there in our hot rods and
don't pump gas.
pump gas and we'd tech in and we'd whoop their ass.
Oh, man.
And all of a sudden they all started, that one guy,
No, they got
They
mad.
got the
that
bitches
one
about
guy
it.
was pissed.
No, it wasn't. Yeah,
it was
yeah.
about to be a fist fight.
He
He
needed-
was pissed.
He needed to do some internal work on himself.
Yeah,
he
yeah,
got a little
yeah.
mad for no reason.
And then the next year they posted the rules, and it was like no.
That
LS
same year,
motors or
TJ
something.
drove his car from Houston. Straight into the staging lane.
He was going to the School of
I'll be
Automotive
dang.
Machinists.
Yes, he was going to.
He was going to
School.
Sam's School, and he drove from Houston all the way up to Singer.
in his little 36 turbo Ford.
Yeah, stopped at
And I
Buc-ee's.
love the look of that car. Still do.
I love it,
the
yeah.
sound of it.
Yep.
But
it's
he
so cool.
drove, stopped at Buc-ee's maybe, got him a soft
Yeah.
drink, some beef jerky,
and
kept
pulled
on
straight to the
rolling.
staging lane.
Pulled straight to the staging lanes, teched in, ran his car, won the event. Everybody was pissed, and then he was sitting there still sipping that cola, drinking
Yep.
that damn.
man.
Dude, we've been the black
He
sheep
was
of
like,
this shit
"Ah."
ever since. Like literally.
I'll see you guys later, and headed back to Houston in that car.
See, the last time I seen you run was at Yellow Belly
Yep.
in the white.
In the
Ford
white
pickup.
truck. Yeah,
Right.
that was fun. Yellow Belly was fun back
Cindy
then.
was down there that day.
I got pictures of
and
that.
my grandson.
I got pictures of that.
It was a little chilly that day.
It was, and that's when they run the best.
Yeah, they
if you
did,
can
they
hook,
did.
and at that point,
Cold
we were already
air.
running good tires. Yeah,
Well,
man,
that
that's-
F100 was
turbo truck, yeah.
Turbo,
Yeah, yeah.
That was after the Evrol. You had done the LS swap.
I did
You done a
nitrous on
few
that,
more. Yeah. But you had done a few more, and then was that F100 your first turbo LS? Mm-hmm. That was the first.
And the reason I
turbo
did that was because of John too. John had to figure this turbo kit out that was reasonable.
That's
It was
right.
like, oh man, like this stuff's out, and there was just
Who was that guy? We used to call him for all the turbo stuff.
VS Racing. Byron.
Yes,
he's
yes,
still big
Byron
into
and
it.
VS
Like no,
Racing.
he hadn't stopped. He's still doing it. He's at another level.
Yeah, he's grown since then. But
Yeah.
back in the day,
Yeah,
we
he
were
would
all
hand deliver all
trying
the
to
stuff at
figure
the
it all
shop,
out.
you know,
Yeah.
Yep.
That's cool. Well, you know what this is to me. It's paid homage to my mother and dad.
That's awesome. That's what we want to do.
You know,
Yes.
It really has and brought their memory back alive. And even to Yellow Belly, my dad used to drag race down there in an early 50s Oldsmobile 88.
Yep. Nope. It's cool. Like when you don't really leave your hometown, this cycle just
Keeps on going.
it keeps on going. People
Well,
run
yeah.
away from where they're from, and you don't create this kind
Yeah,
of this
Right.
kind of stuff, you know. So
No, that's cool,
That's
man.
pretty
No,
cool.
I have enjoyed tonight. I love
Me too.
listening to the
Me too.
stories of it all. And
the fact that your dad named it Evrol, that's
That
one
right
of the,
there.
I wondered if what y'all thought about that, how he got that name. Yeah,
The
we
universe
got it
just sent it back to us, man. That's
hey,
really
the whole
weird.
time we're sitting here thinking that we named the truck the Evrol whenever originally.
Your dad
Dad,
named it.
yeah.
Your
Truck
dad
the
named it.
Evrol.
That's
And the paint had worn off, so it kind
Yeah.
of looked like
It-
all natural.
it
At
looked
one
like
time,
it- yes.
it was brand new paint. He took his time.
man, that's the coolest thing ever. I'm still
Yep.
got goosebumps on that, man. That's
Yeah.
neat.
All right, so Larry, thank you for having us tonight.
Man, I thank you for being here.
Yes,
I
at your
appreciate
house,
it. Bringing
learning
back
us
lots
about
of
the
lots of memories
Evrol.
of both of
Yes,
you.
sir. And you have your own YouTube channel. If you'd
I
like
do,
to give it a shout out, now's the time.
A country boy can cook.
And he can cook.
And he
I
can
try
cook.
all the time.
Hell yeah.